Several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle as to strike.
The Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a lie. The president never gave me any deadline.
It's a great Monday morning. Thank you everyone for joining us here. This is Global Television. We welcome you to Global Morning. I am Uyi Agmofebe.
And I am Jumai Manson. It's great to be on the program with you. Uyi, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm great. I had to put up my best attitude on a Monday morning.
Exactly. Of course, it's a beautiful Monday morning, and you look all suited up, nicely packaged, as usual.
Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
I'm looking at your hair. It reminds me of a group of ladies who made waves from the 90s into the early 2000s.
Are you talking about Salt and Pepper?
Salt and Pepper. Then I think one of the TLC girls as well. Which of them? Not Left Side. The other one.
T-Balls.
T-Balls, yes. Yeah, that's
My favorite.
But that's my way of saying you're looking classy.
Oh my God! Thank you so much, Mr. Uyagmofwegbe. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well done.
So it's good to see you again after the election weekend. Though we are yet to retrieve Anthony Mamadou, a man who is on the ground there covering the whole process for us. He spent the last 2-3 days in Irua in Eastern Central.
Yes, he did.
Following activities over there. So when he comes back, I think it's going to be a lot of conversations. Coming from someone who has been on the ground the entire time and all of that. But you see, that's just a fraction of all of the issues around the election. Though yesterday it was one conversation after another.
Yes.
I think Michael, our colleague, and I were here talking about all of these issues on and off television and things like that. The drama that we saw before the election, the rhetorics, the issue of the debates, what the issues are with Edo, whether it's infrastructure, health, education, job creation for young people, the politics of the state in particular, things like that. Now a winner has been announced.
Exactly.
But then the controversies that trailed the election, before, during, and after, are still right in front of us. Yesterday we saw, for example, in We As, how the incumbent governor, Governor Obaseki, had gone to INEC office, and we saw the drama that played out. The video went viral, pictures of him sitting there at INEC office in Benin, fiddling with his phone, seemingly, also went viral. But the governor and some leaders of the PDP in those states did give a press statement after that, led by the governor of Adamawa State, His Excellency Fintri, where the governor of Edo State, Obaseki, said that, look, I went to INEC office because I tried to reach the REC. There was no response. That he had even spoken with DIG in charge of the zone, Umba. A lot of things weren't going the way they ought to.
True.
He got information that the collation center had been moved and they were not formally notified as a party and so on and so forth. So that was why he came. But we also saw that members of the APC came there as well, but they were not allowed access into the INEC office, which is the normal thing. You can't be allowed access to the INEC office at that point in time. But those are some of the issues that we've seen so far. And then you also have seen how that the collation center, there had been this back and forth between the APC chairman in Edo State, Honorable Jared Tenebe, and a very senior official of the PDP in the state, who doubles as chief of staff to Governor Obaseki, who said, where you are having their heated moments. Results are announced, and then the PDP agents, Ioha, raises concerns, Tenebe counters him, and so on and so forth. And at some point, it's like these politicians were beginning to wash their dirty linens
in public.
I like what the INEC official did. He said, look, ours here is to conduct elections. And then at this particular center, our job is to collate results.
Very true.
Ultimately announce a winner. We're not here to wade into your politics. Whatever is happening with your party. Those are domestic to you. We're not interested in that. But you see, on a final note, I think what we must understand going forward now regardless of who has won, is that this has to be about the good people of Edo State.
Exactly.
And not about the vested interest of one politician, one political party.
Exactly.
Or a group of individuals.
You know, I've said it before, times without number, and we've gone back and forth with this. I said the most important element when it comes to politics or gubernatorial election or who's the winner or the aspirant or whatever it is encompassed are the people of that particular state in which these parties are going to represent.
Right.
They're the ones that understand the breadth of the issues. They're the ones that know what is on ground. They're the ones that knows the basics that they need at the moment. So we have to really understand that it's all about the people and not an individual or an entity, but it's all about the people of Edo State. And really, INEC spoke well. I'm really impressed. And the state, we got calls in on Saturday. No violence. It was hitch-free. People were cooperating. Of course, you can't have it 100%, as long as it's not as high as what we expected, what we envisaged it would be. But at the same point, the most important thing is, for me, it's a credible one. Kudos to INEC. They did extremely well. We didn't hear of issues. And I just feel, well, the best man has, well, you know, you cannot be in power if God has not ordained you to be there. That's what I've always believed. It doesn't matter.
The people also have not chosen.
Have not chosen. So, exactly. So the thing is, this is the people's choice, and that's who they want. So, well, congratulations.
Right, I think we should say congratulations to Edo people. For me, it's not just so much about who has won, as it is about the fact that, as it stands right now, Global Television has not, because we have a report on the ground there, for example. We have colleagues from sister news outlets also right on the ground. We have not heard report of somebody who was killed. I mean, no,
not at all.
Unlike previous elections. I think that's enough basis on which we should congratulate Edo people. You know, but again, it has become some acid test, like I said on Friday, on Thursday, for INEC, because it has become basis for INEC to be assessed and evaluated.
Exactly.
And things like that. But just yesterday, a number of between Saturday and Sunday yesterday, a number of the civil society people, election observers that we spoke to, did say that security agencies should be commended, all right? They particularly talked about the EFCC and the police. They said they've performed creditably well, that the IG actually provided leadership, you know, as far as this election is concerned, right? From the DIG to the AIG to the CP and all the commands in the states. Of course, there's no election process anywhere in the world, including in the US, from where we borrowed this one we are experimenting with.
Exactly.
You know, that is perfect. However, we must continue to trust the process. And that's why you see, Jumai, every time we have this conversation, it is almost impossible to remove INEC from the equation.
Very true.
Because INEC has to be trusted. If people can trust INEC, if Nigerians can trust the police, trust the military, all right, I'm not going to say political parties, it means that we are getting there, and we are getting there very fast.
That's true.
One time a survey was done in the US, and Americans were asked, what institution do you trust the most? From the outcome of that survey, they mentioned the military first. The army in particular. You can imagine that they trust the army. So when they even say the police, they say the army. And they said the next is Amazon. And that's the funny thing. Amazon is, at that time, was just being quoted on the stock of the, on the floor of the stock exchange in the US. It's a private enterprise, not a government-owned organization. What it means is that we can intentionally and deliberately build trust, build confidence in such a way that somebody can say, as long as it's INEC that announced the results, we believe it.
Exactly.
We don't care what anyone else is saying. It has to come to that, because as it stands today, the issue of going to court after every election cycle is still a headache for this country.
Yes, it is.
Look at what's happening now. I spoke with some people from both sides of the divide yesterday, off the records, and they're telling me anybody who's not satisfied should go to court. Anybody who's not satisfied, and the other guys are saying, we are going to court, we're going to court. The question is, can we not come to a point already where if Uyi and Jumai go to the polls and one person wins, the other person can say, I'm not impressed with the process, but I take it in good faith.
Exactly.
For the sake of peace, for the sake of our state, or for the sake
very
of...
true.
So we can move on.
It's very important that we get to that point. I think it's a long road.
Right.
You know, when we spoke to some people in the course of the week, last week, and someone was saying, do you think INEC will be able to perform? And he says he has his observations, but let us just see. I will not conclude. One of our guests that came on the program, Global Morning, and he says, let's see, they've not proven, let's just see and see how it goes. I have my observations, his own opinion. I think we need to get to that point where credibility should be given to a particular sector, and we say to ourselves, we nod our heads and we say, oh, wow, as long as it's coming from this particular individual or this particular organization, I believe and I concur with it. And I think you are absolutely right. We get to a point where I just accept defeat or the win. If I am contesting a particular position with an individual and then he wins, I should take it in good faith and say congratulations and let's move on. Of course, we've seen an exemplary individual, Goodluck Jonathan, who took the defeat in good faith in 2015, and he says congratulations to the then president.
And started discussing transition plans immediately.
Immediately, that shows sportsmanship. It shows that. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the people. The vote has said it all. They voted, and this particular individual won. So I take it in good faith that is the choice of the people. So it's all about the people and how to give that greater good. So it's not just me now and what I think, but I think we have a long way to go when it comes to that process. Individuals have to understand, especially politicians who just believe that it's all about me and what I can gain from this, all the wealth I can incur for myself. Driven by desperation, exactly. Not thinking about the individuals or the people in which you represent from that sector, knowing that these people are actually putting their trust, God first, and then you, in order to move and take this particular platform or this state or the country to a whole new level. You think about yourself, but I think sportsmanship, we need to talk about it, we need to rebrand it, and we need to make it should be an awareness that, hey, it's all about me, it's not about the political party in which I represent, it's about the people, these individuals in which I represent, and I am their voice and their mouthpiece. Very important.
I totally agree with you, Juma. You see, they say charity begins at home.
Yes, it does.
Justice from the next door.
Yes, it does.
So it means that there's a whole lot of work on our shoulders to ensure that individually we're working on ourselves to continue to be patriotic, to be civil. Somebody said something that struck a chord with me yesterday when he mentioned how that in the face of heavy downpour in many parts of the city, some people, including people living with disability, senior citizens, they defied that rain just to go cast their vote.
Yes, they did.
The conviction has to come to that point. We must all find a way to love our country. We must all find a way to put country first above these self-aggrandizements, all of these.
Very true.
Yes, personal gratification.
Very
and
true.
We pursue. And we must have leaders who take people by the hand and show them the right way.
Very important.
Political parties, Juma, in this case, must learn to be selfless. They must learn to understand that you are a governor today, you are a president today because you have a country. If the country gets destroyed, where are you going to be a governor?
Nowhere.
All right. So we need to work on all of that, because most times you see a situation where a politician is involved in certain kind of infraction, sometimes bordering on moral issues, sometimes financial misappropriation. You are waiting to see what the stance of the political party will be. Instead, they throw their weight behind their member of their party, maybe because he's the governor and he has some, of course, influence in the party. We're taking a quick break, everyone. This conversation is long drawn out and it's going to be the crux of our discussion on the program this morning.
Is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action.
Thank you so very much for staying with us on Global Morning, everyone. Just before we hit that break, Juma and I were taking out time to look at not just the election, but using that as a basis to discuss issues around electioneering and, of course, the role of citizens and patriotism in our dear country, Nigeria. But then, again, it's not something we can exhaust in one day or in the course of one edition of Global Morning. It just happens that this is one opportunity we have to kickstart the conversation. Of course, we understand results had been announced yesterday. We now know who the winner in this election is. Juba, you see, just a while ago, you and I were having this discussion. Just to also let our viewers know that we will be bringing papers your way shortly on the program. Of course, after all, there has to be time for Global Morning, Global AM News. But you see, while we were busy talking about the election, the governorship election in those states, there were other elections going on at the grassroots level.
Of course.
From Imo to Sokoto to Enugu. Now, all of those 3 elections in these 3 states I mentioned are behind us.
Yes.
But we'll see how other states that are coming up because the state governments, or if you like, governors, are now falling over themselves to quickly organize elections. Conduct elections at the grassroots level. Because, in the light of the Supreme Court's judgments that borders on autonomy, local government autonomy, that is. But you see, in all of this, how much of patriotism, sincerity, or purpose do we bring into the process? In Enugu, for example, where it's a PDP state apparently, Governor Peter Mbah said, well, when he was asked about how come the PDP cleared all these seats, the local government seats, and his response was, well, it's allowed. After all, it just shows that democracy is at work in Nigeria and indeed in Enugu State. Let's use that as a basis to talk about how politicians must first realize they are Nigerians before they are even politic in the first instance.
Yeah, it's very important. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I said it's not about an individual or a political party. We have to understand that the people in which you represent comes first. You must understand that it's all about the people. They're the ones in which I will actually work for. I am as public servant in all of this. I am their mouthpiece. So it's very important that we have that at the back of our minds first before every other thing can fall in place. Very importantly that we should all understand that, especially politicians. They should understand that and who they represent.
Again, the issue of concerns around internal mechanisms of political parties has even come to be fore more than ever before now, because whatever we saw between Saturday and yesterday is essentially a fallout from how political parties and their leaders conduct themselves within their fold.
Very true.
All right, because you can't take it away, as they say in computer science, garbage in,
garbage out.
Right? So that's what we've been saying the whole time. Whether it's APC, PDP, ABGA, Labour, Accord, all of them is the same thing. All right, fake news, propaganda, very unprintable, unsavory rhetorics and what have you. We've seen all of those. But again, how INEC has tried as much as possible to alienate itself, to insulate itself against all of these headwinds. Many people say it has been very impressive. INEC is not out of the woods yet, let's be very clear, because in November, we have Ondo State governorship.
Exactly.
As expected, Global Television will bring you all of those details as well.
Definitely. I was just looking, I wanted you to mention that to at least chip it when it comes to Ondo State election. I'm sure they have watched and see how, how they coordinated themselves and all of that. I think they will take redress from that, and they will actually try as much as possible to, set that guideline that, okay, let us follow suit and even make it better when it comes to the election that is ongoing in the state by November. So fingers crossed and see how it plays out. In my mind, I was one of those Nigerians that said to myself, oh God, with all the news we heard about Edo, remember during the when they came out for the campaign and we saw what played out, thugs coming out and all of that. I was like, okay, is this supposed to scare voters from coming out to vote on Saturday? But whatever it was, they came out out because they wanted a winner. This just shows that, like you mentioned, Nigerians are now being very patriotic and they know that your vote counts. And kudos to INEC. Really, I am impressed with INEC. Kudos to them. But they're not out of the woods yet, like we've said, although it's still upcoming. And let's just see how it plays and if they will continue in this way of glory when it comes to glory when it comes to credible election in Nigeria. But kudos, so far so good. So far so good. I think INEC wants to give themselves, I think there's a shaking or let's say a rebranding method that's ongoing now.
Like INEC is trying to reinvent.
That's the Hausa man would say Turenchi that I'm looking for. That's the English word. So they're trying to reinvent themselves. And let's just see how well it plays out. But so far so good. We've not heard of any issues, and that I like the fact that they're trying to separate themselves from being partial. Whatever you are going through your political party, that is your political party. I am here.
Go deal with it.
Go deal with it. I am here to conduct the election, and I am here to collate results, and I am here to deliver. So whatever you have with your political party, that is completely your business. I like the fact that they're able to differentiate themselves to understand that, okay, I'm not here to joke. I am here representing the people in order to collate these results and announce the winner who has been chosen. Kudos to INEC. Let's not praise them so much, but at least when someone has done something, you give a pat at the back and you say,
stick and carrot approach.
Aha, well done. So let's see how it plays out again in November when we go all the way to Ondo by the grace of God.
I guess we're hitting the break now, right?
Yes, we are. Yes, up next, newspaper is coming up next on Global Morning. Do not go anywhere. Sit back, relax. The program continues shortly. Stay tuned.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Apparently, everyone, there is so much to talk about Edo State election, even though we have in front of us now newspaper review. Juma and I started this conversation this morning in the program with the issues and the talking points around Edo State governorship election. You know, Juma, a lot of persons were thinking that the power of incumbency would work in favor of the PDP and, of course, the candidate of the PDP in Edo State, so Aswe Godalo, but that hasn't been quite the case. I mean, yesterday there was a press conference where even Obaseki himself, Aswe Godalo, and of course the governor of Adamawa State, His Excellency Fintri, were giving press statements, and you see how they were expressing how they didn't believe in the process, how they had their doubts about the process. Before that, we also saw Aswe Godalo. This is the gentleman, the candidate of the PDP in the just concluded election there. Hopefully we can hear him say something about his assessment of the exercise.
But agents then started telling us that they were not being allowed into INEC headquarters. So my deputy and I came in here to find out why they are not allowing our agents to the collation center. There are too many funny things going on all of a sudden. And there seems to be INEC complicity, police complicity, working together. And this cannot be right for democracy in this country.
All right, that's why we're down there talking. So it raises the concern about the Governor Godwin Obaseki factor.
Exactly.
An incumbent governor, PDP leader in the state, with a lot of clouds and influence, going back 4 years before today, which was 2020, enjoyed so much of love from the people of that state, including from the leadership of the PDP. But then people say a lot has changed between then and today.
True.
For example, someone like Philip Shaibu, the deputy governor of the state, left the PDP, moved to
the APC. Yes, he did.
Another gentleman, Chief Dan Osi Obi, who was he's been suspended now from the PDP. And then the South-South Vice President of the People's Democratic Party, all right, also withdrew his support, even though we have no records of him officially decamping or defecting from the PDP to the APC. Senator Matthew Ogede, two-time senator representing Edo South, formerly decamped from the PDP, moved to the APC. Of course, we see him with the light. We saw him at the grand finale of the rally of the APC as the sports complex of the University of Benin, when Vice President Kashif Shettima, President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and the likes of the National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Dr. Umar Ganduje. I mean, these are people who left the PDP under the watch of Governor Godwin Obaseki. Let's not even mention people like Honorable Engineer Wedi Hammer, the first person, the guy who broke the jinx of having to do 2 terms representing Oedo Federal Constituency at the House of Representatives. He also left the PDP for the APC at the twilight of the campaign, all right? These are people who are loved by the people.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. Who could have brought a lot of value, using the cloud to drive votes in favor of the PDP.
They are the driving force.
Yes, his candidates, but they moved all of that value, all of those resources to the APC. So people say, with all of these realities in front of us, there's no way the APC couldn't have won the election. Exactly. But it also put a question mark about how Governor Godwin Obaseki has managed relationships with the people in his party between 2020, when he got overwhelming votes from the people of Edo State, and this election.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. The truth of the matter is that we have to talk about how individuals, especially then Governor Obaseki, how he managed relationships. It's very important you understand. Look at all of these people, individuals who have moved from the PDP to the AP. These are people that they have caliber, and then for that move, it shows that there is a problem. That foundation, there is a serious problem. So managing relationships is very important. Having coordinated individuals is very important. You have to understand that people are ahead of you. You cannot, it depends. We're going to talk more on this in the course of the matter. Of course, we have newspaper review. But most importantly, relationships is key. How do you manage relationships? How do you carry individuals along? People who you have met there. It doesn't matter even if you're the governor, all of that. The way you respond to individuals. Definitely, if it was the other way around, if these individuals were still in the PDP, I'm sure it would have been a different story today. It would have been definitely, because these are the people that people look up to, individuals who decamped from the PDP to the APC. People of Edo State loved all of these individuals that left. And we spoke about that, and they carry worth, they carry strength when it comes to moving the people, moving the masses. These are individuals who have worked for the people of Edo and have made impact. For that decamp, there was no way.
Like they say, it was a blow below the belt.
It was a blow below the belt.
PDP in Edo State, and of course indeed
it was.
Let's jump to the papers for you quickly. Everyone, we are beginning with the Daily Times.
Yes, we are.
It's a beautiful morning. We look at a story about the nameplates for you. It says FG announces contactless passport renewal for Nigerians. A lot happening under the leadership of Dr. Olubunmi Tunji, Minister of Interior. First of all, it was passports. He announced sweeping reforms. All right, with regards to passports processing, turnaround time, and all of that. Now we are hearing that there's also an announcement about contactless passport renewal, which is very important. There's no rule that says we must overcrowd passport centers, immigration offices across this country, just to either obtain a fresh passport to get a renewal. All right,
Very
we
true.
will begin to live as though we understand that it's 2024. Right. What's the star story on the Daily Times today? It says Edo governorship poll, why APC Okpebholo triumphed. Why? Let's see if the writers here will give us some insights. First off, it says PDP kicks alleges irregularities of the collation process by INEC. Irregularities very apparent, extremely scandalous. Azegbemi, that's Dr. Anthony Azegbemi, the chairman of the PDP in Edo State. They're talking. Tinubu Ganduje congratulated Governor-elect Okpebholo. NDLEA intercepts 16.1 billion naira opioids in Lagos. Investors on edge as delay in Sukuk savings bond payments raise concerns. Climate finance by multilateral development banks hits a record $125 billion in 2023. That's according to reports, but this figure is on a global scale, $125 billion in 2023 alone. And that financing cycle continues, apparently. Tinubu orders crack down on cyber criminals, transnational car thieves. The writer tells us, commends EFCC for returning $180,000 US dollars, 53 vehicles to Canada. NIHSA warns of imminent flooding in Benue Basin. All of these advisories have been coming through regarding flooding in different parts of the country in the last couple of weeks in particular. Some of them are directly to state governments to do the needful as quickly as possible. In other words, put critical measures in place to check the flood. The goal is not to stop the flood from happening. It is to control, or if you like, mitigate the impacts that will ensue on account of this flooding. And this is imminent, as we have been told. Therefore, state governments whose states will be adversely impacted have a lot of work on their hands.
A lot of work at hand. Really, it's very, very sad. I feel empathy for the people of Borno State. And like I said before, in the course of Global Morning, in the course of the week, I mentioned that this would have been averted if the individuals who were responsible would have taken action. And that was the news we heard. There was already a crack on the dam at the first instance. So if the needful was done, we wouldn't have been in this, the people of Borno State wouldn't have been in this dilemma as we speak right now. So I think precautionary measures in the near future should be taken, and other states who are predicted to be affected by this should do the needful to avert this particular flooding that is going to loom their states. So we pray the needful is done, and I hope individuals in authority should take full responsibility. It's very important
Right. You will walk us through the Daily Trust newspaper.
All right, and at this point we have the Daily Trust, and below the nameplate of the Daily Trust, Serap urges Tinubu to probe ecological funds spent by Borno government. And the next says Israel orders 45-day closure of Al Jazeera West Bank office. Flood, Zulum raises committee to disperse donated funds. I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but let's just keep fingers crossed, and I hope these funds get to the necessary individuals and we don't hear of any extortion at the cause of these committee that have been raised or set up. Now below the Daily Trust, and the star story there says APC's Okpebholo wins Edo governorship election. And the rider, there are three riders there, and it says PDP rejects results, Obaseki calls for calm. Votes buying disruption of coalition may pose. Tinubu, Buhari, Barrow hail on party's victory. And still on the Daily Trust, it says Aminatu Danjuma Goje Foundation responds to Maiduguri flood crisis with relief materials. And of course you can see the story on page 8. And below the foot of the Daily Trust we have petrol is 52 naira per litre in Libya. And we have 3 stories there. It says cholera kills 12 in Adamawa. And military denies detention of naval rating for 6 years. Of course, we've heard about the story making round concerning the naval officer who was detained for about 6 years, how the wife of that individual went to raid a station and made claims. But of course, we'll get to the root of that story once you go to page 6 to find out more details on this story. It says Castillo celebrates 37th anniversary today. Look at this story that says Patrice 52 died Polita in Libya. That has to crack me up a bit, because in Nigeria here...
So you're tempted to move
to Libya,
to North Africa.
Are you kidding me? Of course, that there is just something that, well, fingers crossed. I hope we hear that same victory here in Nigeria.
Maybe we wake up tomorrow morning and the announcement is that ours is 48 naira.
Oh my goodness, excellent. That would be really, really good. All right, the next newspaper we'll be looking at is the Leadership, and we, of course, will be walking us through that.
All right, let's begin from the ones above the name master of the Leadership newspaper. Says, finally, DSS releases end bad governance protesters. That's some good news. I'm sure people like senior lawyer Femi Farah, yes, we hear a sigh of relief, and who knows, maybe make some remarks in the course of this week. Then there's another headline with a picture of the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. He says, terrorists bomb 330 kV Damaturu Maiduguri power line. I'm sure that's supposed to be very pivotal to the northeast as far as power supply is concerned. All right, but then we have other headlines for you. One here that says current petrol pump price still driven by subsidy, and then you're wondering at what point are we going to come to realize or even believe in government enough to be confident that subsidy has actually been abolished. Well, we keep our fingers crossed. Council polls, APC clears Kwara, Imo states, as expected, I guess, because the same happened with the PDP in Enugu. APC Sokwebolo floors Ighodalo Akpata in Edo governorship. That's a big story. With 3 riders with it, scores 291,667 votes. PDP trails with 247,774. That's the figure there. What more do you have? It says LP polls 22,761. Police walk Obaseki out of INEC office. PDP governors kick Tinubu, Buhari, others hail victory. Nigeria's annual tire report hits 180 billion naira. You can find those details on page 21 of today's issue of the Leadership newspaper. Coal mine explosion kills 51 in Iran. Serap seeks probe of ecological funds. Tinubu orders crackdown on cybercrime, car theft. So if you look at the big picture on the front page of the Leadership today, you see a picture of quite a number of persons there. There's the governor of, starting from your left or your screen, there's the governor of Ondo State, Makia Idatiwa. There's governor of Imo State there, Hope Uzodinma. Then there is the star boy, as I'd like to call him, as announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission. That's Senator Mandi Okpebolo. And next to him is his deputy-elect now, Honorable Dennis Idahosa. And then, of course, you have the governor of Kwara State, and other person than Razak there. So, APC chieftains basically there. But those are the stories we have for you coming from the Leadership this morning. Right up next will be the New Telegraph.
And the New Telegraph above the news, it says revenue generation for the government agencies earning up 89.56% to 617.76 billion naira. And below that, before we get to the news, it says aviation Nigeria to shift foreign traffic gap to domestic carriers. All right, and below that, that's the picture of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Tinubu orders crackdown on cyber criminal transnational car thieves. You can find that on page 7. Commands EFCC's return of 180 million $300,053 vehicles to Canada. And it says Maiduguri in darkness as terrorists bomb newly repaired power transmission line. You can find that on page 7, and that's Adelabu. And here it says, Babalola says, Afi Babalola warns federal government and NPC Limited against PMS price monopoly to frustrate Dangote refinery. And here it says, Kano's case needs political, not judicial solution in Ezekwe. And that's in his own words. And Edo Governor, and it says, INEC declares APC's Okpebolo winner with 291,667 votes. And what you know, because Saturday we actually spoke with his brother Kizito that came all the way from Canada to give support to his brother. That means Okpebolo must have been an up-straight man who, for his family was to believe in him, and I hear his family coming all the way. Really, it's a plus. And the rider there says, we have two riders there, but before we get to the rider, it says PDP's Igadalo polls 247,247, and as LP's Akpata gainers 22,763. And here it says Tinubu hails peaceful process, charges winners to demonstrate in victory. Buhari Gandhi orders congratulate governor-elect. And here it says PDP alleges result manipulation. Others, election observes raise transparency concerns. Live up to oath of office. PDP government tells INEC as Obaseki urges calm. And still on the New Telegraph, NDLEA Customs sees 14.9 billion drugs at Tin Can. That you can find on page 6, and that is cause for worry. Really. APC sweeps all local government positions in Imo elections as PDP wins all 17 local government chairmanship seats in Enugu. You can find that on page 7. High-profile cases that will shape new legal year. And you can find that on page 14 and 16. And on page 2, it says Zamfara governor isn't sabotaging fight against banditry. PDP replies APC. And at the foot end of the New Telegraph, it says state pardon for corrupt public officers undermining anti-corruption fight. And that's the voice of a senior advocate of Nigeria. You can find that on page 3. And the other says jeopardize court, EFCC, ICPC, police, others integrity, which I concur. That's my own opinion. I concur with that. One's right, benefit restoration through pardon, second-rent punitive intent. And it says DSS releases 6 detained NSAS bad governance protesters. DG recognizes citizens' right to peaceful protest. And really, if you look at this, the story that caught my eye, this state pardon for corrupt public officers, I'm not sure it's going down with me very well.
That's why the AGF is moving to ensure that
exactly, please,
going forward.
Please,
I've seen a lot of that. A lot
we have.
Say it is embarrassing.
Really, it is.
State pardon to people who have been indicted in corruption cases. That is very concerning because
yes, it is.
It shows that for the most part we're not very committed, if at all, to the fight against corruption. If we have to grant state pardon, so it means somebody can commit, humongous misappropriation, financial misappropriation.
Exactly.
Whether as a governor, senator, president, or
even a local government chairman.
Because at some point there's a chance I can get a state pardon and things like that. So a lot of persons, lawyers in particular, have spoken to say that having been able to win victories, so to speak, with regards to the issue of local government autonomy, the next that the Attorney General of the Federation needs to add to the bag now is this issue of state pardon for people, politically exposed people who have been indicted in clear corruption cases.
Really, completely. And then the next paper is the Nigerian Tribune, and of course we will walk us through that now. Over to you.
Through the Tribune quickly. Now everyone We'll begin with the story, the headlines about the nameplates quickly. Flood, clear canals, drainages, gutters, FG alerts Nigerians. There's a rider with it. Displacement, disease loom large in flood heat Borno as government commences fumigation. All of those details await you on page 3 of the Nigerian Tribune with a picture of Borno State's Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum. Nigeria incurs losses as Chinese vessels hijack after trade. Star story, Edo Guba poll. APC's Okwebolo wins, victorious in 12 local government areas, scores 291,667 votes. That's a lot of votes. At least about 50,000 ahead of the PDP, and over 250,000 ahead of Labour Party candidates, Barrister Olumide Osaigbo-Wakpata. Incidentally, we have the AM news coming up, so we're going to step on our brakes here real quick. Everyone, when we return, we will bring you the remaining headlines from the Tribune and other papers. Please stay with us.
Stay tuned.
I've seen watch your network.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from the scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television. Coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Jumai Manson. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nicomsat. Now the news in full. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Edo governorship election has concluded collation of results with announcement of a winner expected. The commission said upon resumption it will present a total figure to the public and make an official announcement of the winner. In the meantime, Governor of Adamawa, Ahmadu Fintiri, has alleged that agents of the People Democratic Party (PDP) for Edo State governorship election were denied access to the Independent National Electoral Commission's office ahead of the commencement of collation. The governor, however, said agents of the All Progressive Congress (APC) were allowed unfettered access to the INEC premises to participate in the collation process. As people of Edo State are waiting the results of the governorship election in the state, some supporters of the People Democratic Party staged a protest at the office of the Independent National Electoral Commission against the result released, with 16 out of 18 local government areas of the state that was released by INEC on Sunday. The All Progressive Congress won, while PDP won in 6 local government. Civil society organizations in Benin has raised concerns over the transparency of the ongoing result collation for the Edo governorship election by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC). A joint statement by 6 civil society groups urged the security agencies to allow the media and observers full access to collation centers for transparency. Meanwhile, Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State has lost his local government, or rather local government area, to the All Progressive Congress in the result declared by the Independent National Electoral Commission. According to the result declared by the Commission, the candidate of the APC, Senator Monday Okpebolo, polled a total of 30,780 votes in the local government, while Aso Igadalo of the People's Democratic Party secured 24,938 votes. Olumide Akpata of the Labour Party polled 5,389 votes. Moving on to the People's Democratic Party, PDP has appealed to the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, to review collated results of the Edo governorship election before the final announcement. Chairman of Edo State PDP, Dr. Anthony Azabeme, said that the entries to the electoral offices were different from the actual results uploaded on the INEC IEV at the polling unit. Azabeme noted that the results had allegedly been inflated in favor of the All Progressive Congress (APC) through deducted votes from the PDP. In a related development, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says it is investigating claims of wrong polling unit result manipulation in Edo State. The Commission said this in a statement issued on Saturday night. The Commission's attention has been drawn to an allegation of wrong figures entered into polling unit result sheets in the ongoing Edo State governorship election. And now to the Abia State Independent Electoral Commission weekend release timetable for the conduct of council poll in the state. ABISEC Chairman Professor George Chima, who unveiled the timetable at the Commission's headquarters, Ogurugbe Layout, Umahia, said the poll would hold on Saturday, November 2nd. The timetable stipulates that party primaries will begin on September 25th and end October 4th, while submission of the list of candidates by political parties will begin from October 5th and end October 7th. Now, operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency at the Malam Aminu International Airport have arrested a 30-year-old drug trafficking suspect, Okafor Anthony, while attempting to board a Qatar airline flight to Iran via Doha with 76 wraps of cocaine in his stomach. NDLA Director Media and Advocacy Femi Babafemi, who confirmed the arrest, said the drug suspect was arrested last Sunday. Fire has gutted a section of the University College Hospital in Ibadan, Oyo State, in the early hours of Sunday. The fire broke out in one of the hospital offices in the third floor of the Southwest 3 ward. However, men of Oyo State Fire Service arrived at the hospital to put out the fire, which led to confusion in the wards as patients and their relations in the nearby wards were running around during the fire incident. You're watching AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When AM News returns, Joshua suffers devastating second knockout loss. Details of these and more right after this break. Please stay with us. You're welcome back, and if you're just tuning in, this is Global Television, bringing you live broadcasts of AM News. Thank you for staying with us. In business now, crude oil refiners have said with the right intervention by the federal government, the pump price of petrol produced by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery may crash below 600 naira per litre. The Publicity Secretary of the Crude Oil Refiners Association of Nigeria, Eche Idoko, said in an interview that the association still has a strong belief that local refineries like Dangote and others can bring down the cost of petrol. Idoko said 898 naira per litre claimed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited as a price is but petrol from Dangote reflected the rise in exchange rate. Nigerian government has commenced discussions with the North African country Libya for a gas pipeline construction project between both countries. The Minister of Petroleum Gas, Ekwerekwe Ekpo, dropped this hint while meeting with Libya's Minister of Oil, Dr. Khalifa Abdul Sadiq, on the sidelines of the Gashtech Exhibition and Conference 2024 ongoing in Houston, USA. Ekpo said the potential gas pipeline will begin from Nigeria to Libya. The Industrial Area Command of the Nigerian Customs Service is set to collaborate with stakeholders to strengthen security, foster economic growth, and build a brighter future for the Amon-Odofon Federal Constituency, Lagos State. When the member representing the constituency at the House of Representatives, Honorable George Oluwande, paid her a courtesy visit, the Custom Areas Controller, Odewu Rese Rebecca, said the command will collaborate with the constituency in accordance with the Comptroller General of Customs, Bashir Adeni's policy trust. Nigerians have again expressed frustration over the difficulties in assessing the federal government's 40,000 subsidized rice lunch on September 6, 2024 in Abuja. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, had asked interested Nigerians to be ready to provide their national identification number with an automated teller machine card as the only means of payment. However, many Nigerians have complained that the sales points are inaccessible. The United States government has reaffirmed its commitment to empowering women entrepreneurs in Nigeria to fulfill their economic potential, creating conditions for increased stability, security, and prosperity for all. It said the support will be through its Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. This was disclosed during a recent 3-day program in Lagos that brought together 150 alumni of the Academy to advance their digital skills. On our foreign scene, a gas leak explosion at a local mine in eastern Iran has killed at least 30 people, with more than 20 others reported missing. Javad Janet, governor of South Khorasan province, where the mine is situated, told state television that rescue teams were working to retrieve 22 trapped workers. Police says at least 4 people have been killed and dozens injured in a mass shooting in Birmingham, Alabama. Trevor Festigred, a police officer, says multiple shooters fired multiple shots on a group of people late on Saturday in the 5 Points South area of the city. Birmingham police found the bodies of 2 men and 1 woman at the scene, and a 4th victim died of bullet wounds in hospital. Detectives are investigating whether the gunman walked up to the victims or drove by. However, no suspects have been arrested. Left-leaning politician Anura Kamara has won Sri Lanka's presidential election after a horrific second round of counting. No candidate won more than 50% of the total votes in the first round, where Diskaya got 42.31%, while his closest rival, opposition leader Sajid Pamadosa, got 32.76%. Israel forces have raided the office of news broadcaster Al Jazeera in Ramallah in the occupied West Bank and ordered it to close for an initial period of 45 days. Armed and masked Israeli soldiers entered the building early on Sunday during a live broadcast. Viewers watched as the troops handed the closure order to the network's West Bank bureau chief Walid Al-Mari, who read it out live on air. On sports now, Sunshine Stars technical advisor Kennedy Boboye says his side must grab the maximum point against Abia Warriors in a matchday 3 encounter of the 2024-25 Nigerian Premier Nigerian Football League. The two-time MPFL winners stressed that Sunshine Stars must defeat Abia Warriors to show their readiness for the championship. Anthony Joshua's hopes for reclaiming world heavyweight glory were shattered on Saturday night as he suffered a devastating knockout loss to Daniel Dubois at Wembley Stadium Sunday. Dubois, the IBF heavyweight champion, dominated from the opening round and knocking Joshua down twice before delivering a decisive right hand in the 5th round that sent the former two-time champion crashing face down to the canvas. Though Joshua tried to rise, the referee waved off the fight, sealing a stunning victory for Dubois. Nigerian women's rugby team, the Green Falcons, are poised to inflict a second defeat on their Kenyan counterparts in the second of a 2-leg qualifying tie at the Impala Stadium, Nairobi, on Sunday, and book a spot in the 2025 World Series. The Nigerians made history on Thursday by charging to a 22-14 win over Kenya in the first leg of the first ever MEA Women's Rugby League World Cup qualifiers at the same venue. Now, as we end the AM news on global television, let's take a quick look at some of our major stories again. Brought to you that INEC concludes result collision in Edo governorship election. Announcement of winner. In business, Nigeria and Libya are in talks over 5,600 kilometers regional gas pipeline project. On our foreign scene and in sports, Anthony Joshua has suffered a devastating second knockout loss. And that's it on AM News, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Remember, we are on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276 and free to air on Nicomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms by using the Global TV NG and the handles now showing on your screen. I am Jumai Manson. Thank you for watching. Good morning. I tried my best to edit this news. I tried my best. But I never give me stay news. I will report now. I will good morning, sweetheart. The news stay abeg. I tried to cut almost all. I tried to corner. I said you now make for this office. Mr. Keep your eye on it. I try to drive on the bumps. I see that Sunday. I just when they say today, okay, that's why you said it's still. No, it's not still now because we use the element of today. Maybe that would be election. And they say in the election, we are talking about elected. Please call my mom. Just kidding. What for you? When are they using a good life program?
Okay, you see, you like guess.
Shall not guess, oh.
Who is shy? Who na the guy? I dey respect him.
As Michael is tapping, don't come for your.
Oh God.
That's what they guess up and down back for the night videos.
I say you be the guy.
You not cover like say na news station.
You need data. account?
Yes, I do. I use my card. Can I use yours from today and tomorrow?
I say, who na the guy? In fact, oh yeah! I tried calling you, baby. How are you? Meeting.
Because on your neck.
Yeah, well, it's right. You know well. Now they call and say how your body and they call her.
Sugar boy.
Sister, yes, the sister email too. They're into one constant. It's well with you, my dear.
Now you dash me. Well done, yeah. Now you dash me now.
You are giving us jackets. So you're looking so fine, Ogo. I don't have this hair. It's so fine. Why you do like that? Well, I don't know I want to do too well.
And international news.
But yes, I need you to do that. See why he's around now, so we can do the random. You want that? Hey, I will need somebody. I want to move there to go to my global woman. I will need Sebastian himself. I mean, this one with Sebastian, that girl is coming at me. Because we are going out today. I want to say that we want for my global woman today. And we are going to go and do our fruits today. See me this cup and girl say she know them. Do this. That same girl that used to do secretary. Gifts. No, Julius. It's Julius I know her as well. That's why I started calling me. Which kind of wahala be this? Ogo, how you see my hair?
If nobody mentioned this age.
No, they don't enter trouble. As did you see my hair?
I'm not seeing clearly yet.
You better see clearly now.
Your mic is on.
Yes, I did.
Huh?
I've seen, watch your network, Global Television, and I think it's a refreshing addition to some of the networks that we already have, to have competitive media and looking at news from different angles. The place to go is to watch Global Television, because it gives you a different perspective, whether it is local news or foreign news, and even you're connecting with local communities in villages that I have seen. So we urge Nigerians that, this is the time to broaden the space, the source of information, of entertainment, and of enlightenment. And Global TV is the place to watch.
Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right and then report rightly. And then inshallah, sky will be your limit.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
We're back on, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. It's Global Morning here on television with Uyi Agmofwebe and Jumai Manson. Let's take you back to the papers real quick, just before our first guest jump in on the conversation this morning. A while ago, we're taking a look at the Nigerian Tribune, and we have quite a number of stories there for you. with riders as well. The big story says Edo Guba poll, APC's Okpebolo wins victorious in 12 local government areas, scores 291,667 votes. It has a number of riders with it, with a picture of the governor-elect, Senator Amandi Okpebolo. Tinubu orders crackdown on transnational car thieves, cyber criminals. Adamawa government confirms 12 deaths from cholera outbreak. Man acknowledges government stabilization plan, $1 billion intervention pledged by Coca-Cola. That seems more like a private sector driven initiative. Then on the right end of the front page of today's issue of the Nigerian Tribune, you see a breakdown of all 18 local government areas in Edo State and what each of them turned in as their votes. And then you have a sum total at the bottom, with APC reporting 291,667 votes, PDP raking in 247,274 votes, and the Labour Party being able to garner 22,763 votes. Quite a keenly contested race, no doubt. But let's turn to the Guardian.
All right, now to the Guardian newspaper now, and below that nameplate we have Edo election, and we have the governor aspirants of APC, we have PDP, and of course LP, and we see with the APC, Okpebolo, 291,667 votes with a check mark of the win. And then, of course, for PDP, we have Igor Dalo, and it's 247,274 votes. And Akpata Labour Party rep, representing the Labour Party for the gubernatorial election, 22,763 votes. Now it says PDP fumes demand review as APC's Okpebolo wins. And below all of that, we have PDP kicks as APC clears local government seats in Imo, Kwara. And you can find that on page 2 of The Guardian. And then it says refiners want FX rate at 1,000 naira to $1 to reduce fuel price as Afi Babalola warns against monopoly. And you can find that on page 5 of The Guardian newspaper. Probe billions of ecological fund award to Borno Syrup tells Tinubu. You can find that on page 4 of The Guardian. Ohaneze urges Tinubu to replace underperforming ministers, which is not a bad idea.
Of course. You either bring value, or to use the president's word, you leave us.
You leave, exactly. And you can find that story on page 7 of The Guardian, and it says, now the picture of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and it says, most politicians, not politics, are dirty, says Obasanjo in his own words. Cholera claims 21 lives in Adamawa, Katsina. And you can find that read on page 30 of The Guardian. Now, Borno faces health crisis with over 230 health facilities destroyed. And if you go to page 30 of The Guardian, you find the news there. And that is all on The Guardian newspaper. And then next, we will be taking us through The Nation. Yes, you will be.
You're welcome. Nation newspaper for you, everyone. We'll begin with the headline above the nameplate this morning. DJ Cuppy makes history as first British Nigerian to host UNGA's opening session. That's quite remarkable. I mean, it doesn't look bad on your resume now.
No, it doesn't.
Right. The writer says she is passionate about quality education for young people, and that's a noble cause to pursue. What's more, Shetima off to US for 79th UNGA Experts Project rates retention by NPC. Of course, everyone is looking forward to seeing what the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN will be announcing as a rate, whether they are going to hold it down where it is right now, or will do a review upward or downward. Market waits to see. Fed lawmakers return to firm up cancel autonomy process. Okpebolo's hard-won victory returns Edo State to APC fold. That goes without saying. The writer reads, Tinubu victory challenging call to serve Obaseki PDP high foul. That's according to the Nation newspaper. And then, as always, you find a breakdown of all the results from all 18 local government areas with their precise figures there on the right end of the front page of the Nation newspaper. But then there's one more headline just at the foot of the paper. NDLEA intercepts 16.1 billion naira drugs in Lagos. Detained August 1 protesters freed. That's some good news as well. And then it takes us to our very next paper this morning, which is the Punch newspaper.
And of course, giving you some very punchy headlines above the nameplate of the Punch, we have fresh tariff hike looms as monthly power subsidy hits 181 billion naira. You can get that read on page 31 of the Punch. PDP crisis, Atiku backs anti-Damagun MWC members, and that is on page 8. MPCs made lower interest rate Tuesday, and you can find that on page 39. Now, below the nameplate at the side of the Punch, it says why Wakbara was denied job slot FCC. You can find that on page 39. Now, and of course, we have pictures of APC PDP LP candidates with 291,000 from the APC, 667 from Akpabolo, and of course PDP 247,274, and then LP 22,763. Now, the star story there says Edo poll, PDP alleges rigging as APC Akpabolo wins, and the writer says PDP governors insist candidate won. Obaseki vows to seek redress. Ighodalo rejects results. And Tinubu congratulates Akpabolo as Akpabio, Oshomole, Shaibu, APC supporters jubilate. And here it says Annual General Assembly, Congress approves 3.6 billion naira Lagos FA 2024-25 season. 1 year after Tinubu yet to appoint ambassadors for 109 embassies. And it says 80-year-old man arrested with cannabis in Lagos. Oh my goodness, that is a very sad story there. LP crisis, Abure fractions rules out sanctions for Obi, and that read you can find on page 8 of the Punch. It says Oyomo beats soldier over alleged killing of NSCDC officer. You can find that on page 5. DSS frees 6 hunger protesters to arraign 3. There you can find on page 18. And the story that caught my eye is this 80-year-old. Like, seriously, what are you looking for? Man arrested with cannabis in Lagos. Seriously, an 80-year-old man should be resting for...
As a grandpa.
As a great-grandpa, in fact. Unfortunately, this is where we found ourselves in this country. I think it's a hardship. I'm not holding brief for him. No, I am not. But it's just that the hardship has taken a toll. Even the older ones now are trying to find means to an end, daily livelihood and all of that. So you can imagine looking at the foundation of that individual. Maybe his sons or his daughters do not have a well means of livelihood to support him, take care of him, and he has decided.
So in a bid to put food on the table.
Exactly. I'm not holding brief for him though, but
because what is wrong is wrong.
What is wrong is wrong. But at that age, really, you're supposed to set exemplary measures for the young ones that are upcoming.
And share the story of your journey with
exactly.
them, to inspire them, to guide them.
Exactly. It's just unfortunate when you read stories like this. You just want to backtrack and say, what must have pushed this elderly man, 80-year-old, to be in possession of such drugs in Lagos? It's just an unfortunate. It's very painful, really. It's really unfortunate. And then you'll be taking us to the next paper, which is the Vanguard.
Yeah, the Vanguard newspaper. Let's take a look at the Vanguard. Our first guest will be joining us shortly via Zoom on the program this morning. 2 of them actually, but let's just wrap up with the papers real quick. First one here says on the Vanguard, just above the nameplate, Tinubu orders crackdown on cyber criminals and national car thieves. FG frees 6 of 1,400 end bad governance protesters. That sounds like scratching the surface. Marketers optimistic of lifting Dangote petrol directly as scarcity persists. Remi Tinubu's 64th birthday. Khan urges FG to fix bleeding economy. Star story. Edo how Okpebholo flood Ighodalo with 44,012 votes. That's quite a significant figure. Quite a number of headlines, and riders as well. A new Edo is rising. Governor-elect Okpebholo wins 11 of 18 LGAs. Ighodalo 7, Akpata none. PDP cries foul, backs Governor Fintri, insists Ighodalo won. CSOs express concern, say coalition disruptions affect results credibility, of course. Afe Babalola to FG allowed Dangote sell petrol at lower rates. Lekki, Lagos government's Dangote refinery disagree over parks call-off system for trucks. In boxing, a piece of not so inspiring news came through yesterday. Battered Joshua hints at Dubois rematch. As Hearn confirms rematch clues. What's more, efforts to silence us will fail. NLC president is the one to whom that is credited. Is all we have from the Vanguard. And our last paper today is the Daily Independent, and Juma has those headlines for us.
Before we go into the Daily Independent, I actually thought Joshua was going to win that fight. Fingers crossed, all hands on deck with all of what we heard, the back and forth, but it's just
bragging,
the bragging, really,
the energy, right?
The energy for me, and for you to hear that, oh my goodness, it's just really, really sad.
It is.
It's really sad because I was actually rooting for Joshua to win.
My wife would call it what I ordered versus what I got.
Like seriously, I was fingers crossed because Joshua has never gone down without a fight. He keeps going. If you've watched his matches, he's very, he gives it his all. He's very passionate, but
he tries to protest, even if he eventually loses.
Exactly, but to get this, as in that punch that just took him below the belt, it just landed on his face. And he tried to get up, but the referee just said, "I beg."
Never worked.
Just cool down. You've lost the fight. Oh my goodness! But it's really sad. I was really rooting for Joshua because he's a fellow Nigerian. Of course, we have to be patriotic with our own, but at the same time, the best man won, right?
Obviously, Joshua lives to fight another day.
That cracks me. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, sure, because we're already discussing the rematch, and there's a possibility.
Exactly. So let's just see how it plays out. But I've always been a fan, though. So let's just see.
Hopefully, you're not more of a fan than DJ Copy.
Exactly. Exactly. And of course, the last paper is the Daily Independent, and I'll be walking us through the Daily Independent now. And above the nameplate, it says NIHSA warns of impending flooding in Adamawa, Benue, Jigawa, Delta, Anambra, Rivers, and others. And it says Serap asks Tinubu to probe spending of billions of naira ecological funds by Borno government. And below the name mass of the Daily Independent says Edo Gubber. Of course, we'll be getting a lot of the Edo Gubber on the news day today because it's one of the major happenings making round. And it says INEC declares APC's Monday Okpebholo winner of poll. And we have about 5 riders there. And it says PDP rejects result, alleges massive irregularities. Observers groups query authenticity of declared results. Tinubu congratulates Okpebholo, lauds electoral process. Victory shows confidence in Tinubu's administration, APC. Flood poll signpost 2027 expectation, and of course those are stakeholders. No return of cybersecurity levy, CBN reassures, and you can find that read on page 6. Adamawa government confirms 12 deaths from cholera outbreak. Really sad, really, and you can find that's on page 7. Tinubu orders crackdown on cyber criminals, transnational car thieves, car thieves. And the writer there says, as EFCC repatriates 180 $53 vehicles to Canada. And you can find that on page 7. Shettima departs Abuja for US to attend 79th UNGA session, and that is on page 7. Aggressive fintech penetration takes toll on banks' fortune. And on the feet of the Daily Independent, why we won all seats in Kwara local government elections by APC chairman. And just go out and get your Daily Independent for more of these stories. And that brings us a wrap on the newspaper review, right,
That's right, everyone.
And let's quickly go on a very quick break, and we'll start our first discuss of the day. Do not go anywhere. It's Global Morning on Global Television. Stay tuned.
Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofrebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momojo.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Time check. It's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
I've seen watch your network, Global Television, and I think it's a refreshing addition to some of the networks that we already have, and to have competitive media and looking at news from different angles. The place to go is to watch Global Television, because it gives you a different perspective, whether it is local news or foreign news, and even you're connecting with local communities in villages that I have seen. So I will urge Nigerians that, this is the time to broaden the space, the source of information, of entertainment, and of enlightenment. And Global TV is the place to watch.
But by your name, you say global. So global is a big coverage. So you are taking a big name, but you are starting from the scratch. So that big name, by the grace of Almighty Allah, you achieve that. You will appreciate your activities, your reportage, and everything you are doing. Do it with the fear of Almighty God. Step by step, you'll be growing very, very globally. Get your things right, and then report rightly. And then, inshallah, sky will be your remaining.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bands, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team. it's midday. Then it's Midday Discourse. Midday Discourse is a program that covers trending local and international news, current issues, and human-related topics. Join Samuel Odi weekdays 1 p.m. on Global Television. The discussion starts here.
Edo State, Juma and I, but not literally. We're there. What can we do? The election is over.
Yes,
winner announced.
Winner announced.
But then the conversations around all of the issues that trailed the election, you know, are still here. We're being joined live via Zoom from Oredo local governments in Benin City by Engineer Toba Owojaye. He's a political analyst to help us also with some insights as to his angle in terms of assessment and observation of this election. Toba, first of all, good morning. Hopefully we're not delaying your flight any longer than necessary.
For the love of democracy, I would have loved to trek back to Abuja just to feel the pain that the voters felt, but it is what it is.
Okay, first of all, Jumai and I will be engaging you for the next few minutes before you jump on the next plane. But basically, from the tone of your voice, it appears all is not well from your own standpoint. Would you like to share with us from that perspective?
Yes, all is not well. With Nigeria, I think our flag should be down completely for today or maybe for the whole of the month, so that we can know the degree of the travesty and impunity that happened here. It was, how will I explain it, closest to the fact that somebody stained your shirt, and when you look at the person's hand, there's no stain on the person's hand. So you don't even have any clear evidence to claim this was the person who stained your hand. I was at the polling unit. I had people at 7 different locations in Edo State. Yes, APC won Edo North, clearly. APC also had half of Edo South, Edo Central, got half of the votes there, which also showed out in the results. But what played out in Oredo and not some other areas are just too shocking for anyone who was here. I was at the collation center, Oredo GRA2. There was enough police presence, EFCC, ICPC, civil defense, the boss from Bayelsa was around. So it was fully, and the elections went free and fair. And the people started even shouting after the election and collation, free and fair, until the results moved, and I got a lot of these results. Until the result moved into 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. for us to see something completely different from what we saw on ground. And then we now saw in some places where ballot papers were being burnt yesterday. So is it that people vote completely and then a completely different result is announced? We were not allowed to enter. I had a media jacket. I was accredited as a media there, so we were supposed to go in. Even the governor couldn't go. Nobody could go in till the governor went in around 2 a.m. and only the governor could go in without any single person following him. And after a few minutes, he was even walked out of the same hall as a governor. If the governor couldn't go in and stay, who is the party agent that will be able to go in and stay there? So it was just an election done, and then at the highest coalition level, whoever was inside there did whoever was inside there did and announced the results. If they have burnt the ballot papers boxes, this is part of the problem we have. We only have a thumbprint on those papers. So we may start before the court cases. I expect and I know that they can thumbprint a million votes in 100 hotels and get it. So this is not good for democracy. The people voted. It was fair and fair. There was no fight. I was at IAGA conference, that press conference. I was at Kimbart Development Initiative conferences. We did our homework. It was fair and fair. Largely till voting, till the collations from wards back to local government. And in between local government and state and announcements, I'm still in shock. To be honest.
All right, Mr. Toba, you said you're still at shock. You're still in shock because of what you witnessed when you being in Edo. Now let's move away from the political groups now. Let us talk about INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission. Now, what's your take on their credibility in collating these results from all the sectors, from all constituencies when it comes to this particular result? Do you think their actions was commendable? A lot of people have commended INEC for their,
the conduct.
The conduct and all of that, putting everything on check. What's your own opinion on that when it comes to INEC?
I would say it's just a face, because you see, the election has faces. There's the electoral part in which coppers were used, staff were used. At the wards, all of that went free and fair. I want to be clear on that. Now, when all of that took place in the wards, they went back to a first level collation of what came in from the wards. So everything got entered into another record sheet. Now, all those record sheets now went to a final collation place. It is now at this final collation place that nobody had entry into that place. So if you ask me if it's fair and fair, I will ask you at what point. If it was at the beginning, I would call it free and fair. But if you ask me at the end, where none of us were able to see and none of us were able to enter, I cannot call that fair and fair. I cannot call that transparent, because media was supposed to be there. Party agents were supposed to be there. It is not a cult. There's enough police presence, nobody will fight there. But let everybody see that the will of the people that was voted in the morning was not swapped in the night. Like the Bible says, while men slept, the enemy sowed tares. This is a direct play out of that parable. And it's sad.
All right, Toba, let's look at all of the drama, as I'd like to call it, for the purpose of this conversation this morning, that has played out in Benin right now. You talked about the governor a while ago. People have reacted, whether civil society leaders, political analysts like yourself, opposition members have said, the governor wasn't on the ballots. The governor is not an official of the PDP. He had no business there. But let's move away from that for a second and look at some of the factors that practically worked against the fortunes of the PDP as a party and then its candidates in particular, Barrister Dr. Asue Ighodalo. For example, Juma and I were talking at the top of the program this morning. I didn't mention that some of the powerhouses, so to speak, who were either to members of the PDP throwing their weight 100% behind the PDP had left. Senator, House of Reps member, or former senator, former House of Reps member, the leader of the PDP in the South, Chief Dan Obi, and several other people had left. Some people have said that, look, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, the incumbent governor, who would leave office in a few weeks, having done 8 years at that point in office, has not managed political relationships and dynamics very well between 2020, when he assumed office for second term, and now. Therefore, that failure, that inability to midwife relationships with his political associates as they ought to have been also has adversely impacted the PDP at the polls. Is that your sentiment?
Yes, I agree with them 100%. Or let me say 95%. He didn't put himself or Asue in any good stand or stead. I agreed that they could have impeached Shaibu, and then when he got back in court, you bring him back. As far as the court doesn't support your action, you bring him back, and then you mend fences. I would say the little I'm aware of, but let's put it under hearsay. The governor still called Shaibu on Friday night, and Shaibu didn't pick his call. And the governor called the wife, and the wife said, "Sorry, I can't help you now."
Well, is that not messing up that guy, Stoba?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm giving you insight you will not hear any other place. So this is I'm agreeing with your play out. You understand? He could have managed. Ifeama was offered deputy earlier, and then the powers that be, I won't mention so much, the powers that be didn't allow Asue pick him as his deputy finally. And then from the rally that APC had, we saw Ifeama there. And then we saw him yesterday at the APC point, and he says he was a two-term House of Rep in Oredo, where the votes are strongest. So these are not people you throw away. I have a friend who defected to APC, and he told me yesterday that, my friend, we are the people that helped him rig in 2020, and if he doesn't need us in 2024, we have gone to the other side. So these are part of the things. It will have been a landslide. See, in my opinion, PDP won that election yesterday, but it will have been a landslide, and it will have been easier to manage if he had managed all these people together. They were not asking for too much. They helped you into the party. They helped you win. You should not discard them. They contested for primaries. PDP should have had a reconciliation. It is inside PDP's constitution and manifesto. It's inside the booklet of PDP that after every election there is appeal. After appeal, there is reconciliation committee set up. So we are at loss as to why PDP did not have a reconciliation of the aspirants after Asue emerged. After that, what all we saw was impeachment. We saw that there was a vacancy, and the SSG was still picked as the deputy candidate when the agreement was Ifeama earlier, and what the people asked for. And Asue was in agreement, had agreed to that earlier. So Obaseki didn't really do good for. Not that he planned it maliciously, but you see, once you're not a politician, you're not a politician. He should have managed.
So you're saying categorically that the governor, Godwin Obaseki, isn't a politician?
Yes, he's not. And I can assure you that in the next few months, he may not even be in Nigeria again. But he's a technocrat. I believe he did well. The way elites see development and the way masses see development are not the same. He was a administrator. He's giving them a paperless administration. he reduced scouts, he fixed Edo Best. He was more a, will I say, systems fixer, not a project man. And a state needs both of them. You need project people like Oshomole and Wike, but you also need people in the systems who can fix the system of the state. So he had his own good. But you see, those are not the things you go and tell people in the villages, that he has a paperless administration. How does that concern a villager? What the villager wants is water, light, road, and security. And that is where the votes are. So this is where he missed it, or he failed at this point. But for elites like us, we saw Edo State. Edo State became one of the 7 most viable states in Nigeria that can survive without federal allocation. Edo State has its own power producing company. Edo State has its own refinery. These are things that he has done in his time, and they are wonderful. But those are not things that the masses want to hear. An election is about people's sentiments that will affect their votes.
All right, Toba, I want to ask a question. Now, PDP cries foul. Fintiri says Ighodalo won this particular election. Now, when do you think we'll get to a stage in Nigeria where we just believe in sportsmanship? You win, congratulations. There is defeat, accept defeat and move on. With all this back and forth, don't you think it's complicating democracy on its own? And for goodness sake, many individuals cast their votes and they're happy. So why don't you think we do not accept the spirit of sportsmanship? What's your take on that, really, looking at it critically?
Yeah, yes, I agree with you partially, but not in this case and not in this election. I've been to
Why?
I've been to many elections. I've been to many elections in my small life, and I have not seen this stainless rigging. This is what I need to make you understand.
A lot of people will beg to differ. When you say stainless, some people feel there is nothing wrong with this particular election. In fact, INEC did an amazing job that it's even commendable. We did not see, there was, according to some, there was transparency and this accountability in which we see. So when you say this, I'm trying to understand it and put it in place. Like, we all know the party in which you support, and of course, individuals have put in their candidate. But when you say this, a lot of people will beg to differ that PDP will not want to stand down when it comes to issues like this. Don't you think so?
Yes, I agree with you. For the record's sake, I'm a PDP person, but I supported Tinubu in the presidential election. I have grown beyond party politics. Exactly. I believe in Nigeria. Exactly. Yes, I believe in Nigeria more than any other thing.
You're patriotic.
What I'm talking about. Yes, what I'm talking about is having gone round elections in many states, I have not seen this level of stainless rigging. This is what I'm saying, that I went to the press conference that was done by 3 p.m. by Yaga and by Kimbat, and they applauded the elections. I wrote the records, I have the statement from them, and by morning, they all did a joint press conference. These same people who applauded this for being wonderful in the morning, based on what we all saw, now did a joint statement, which I can send to you immediately after this, condemning the fact that they and all other media and party agents did not have access into the final collation points. This is what I'm saying. So we are saying that you pack your whole harvest. You farmed, yes, you weeded your crop, yes, you harvested your crop, then you put it in a trailer and the goods got missing. Do you want to call that a smooth process or a waste of your entire farming season? This is what I'm saying, and I hope I'm painting it in good pictures.
And then, in your own words, the numbers, they do not correlate with one another. What are you trying to say?
Yes, they do not correlate. This is what Fintiri has read out. If you see, the beginning of what he read out was exactly the same figure, word number for number, that was read out in many local governments by INEC. And he had that record out hours earlier. I had the copy. I have the copy till now. Hours earlier than what was read by collation. But there are other places in which there were a far cry of and there were other places that were not announced immediately. The greatest shock was already that I am still in. I am on Ihiama Street as I'm speaking now, next to where the collations for this level took place. And I cannot, with all my education and good conscience, say that I am not shocked at the turn of the results in between 9 p.m. where I went to sleep, standing from 7 a.m. to what we had yesterday night. I cannot in good conscience say that.
All right, Choba, we need to allow you, just get started on your day, quite frankly. But on the final notes now, Obaseki will be out of office by midday marks on the 12th of November. Then you're going to have a new sheriff in town, so to speak, in the person of Governor-elect Senator Monday Okpebholo. Let's look at some of the, if you like, landmark achievements that Mr. Obaseki has recorded while in office these 8 years. You mentioned the refinery a while ago. Of course, there's the Osomio power project. We see what he has done in terms of reforms in the civil service for the first time in the history of Edo, whether it was when it was Bendel or Midwestern states. We now have a civil service academy named after former governor, Dr. John Odike Oyego. And then we have the Edo Best, we have the Edo Jobs, quite a number of innovative initiatives that the man has put in place. Let's talk about sustainability and the ability and capacity to scale in this regard, talking about the next government that will come on board in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, I will still go ahead as a person to congratulate Senator Monday for being declared. I have to choose that word. And this is not someone I don't know. It's a good thing that we can make profit whoever is in government. I am close to his SLA, Mr. Peter Ablu, who is his chief of staff while he was a senator. So it's not about if it's not Obaseki, some of us cannot survive. We have just looked at the capacity, the process, and how it went. So I believe he will continue most of these things. He's a rural man. He got a lot of those votes, and he would move from the, call it the administrative role that Obaseki has done, and he will be more into projects, because I expect Oshomole to be more bearing on him in that regard, and he will be more into projects. So we'll see more roads, we'll see more boreholes, more rural development, which is also good for the people, which is why the people will still win at the end of the day. So those are the things we expect. Obaseki has put in health insurance, has put in a system. He will just come and put in more infrastructure, which he can do. He has good hands around him. He has Kasim Astefegboa, he has Izeyamo, he has Iheyama, there are good hands around him that the people will not necessarily suffer. But we are praying we don't go back to the days where Tony Kabaka becomes the governor of the state, because he has said time and time over that he's the street governor of Edo State. He was here yesterday, he was here the day before yesterday. So we on ground know the things that took place. There are some we do not need to say for our own safety, but
all right, so Toba, before you quickly go, let's quickly talk about the security agents. Of course, people have been giving comments about the police officers. We know that 35,000 of them were deployed to Edo in the course of this particular election. Now, what's your take on the security agencies in maintaining law and order, keeping everywhere calm, compared to, let's take a rewind to the campaign where we saw what some thugs actually did, and now fast forward to the election day on Saturday, and there was law and order by security agents. Would you say it's commendable, and the police force, they're taking it on a whole new level now?
Yes, this is a single off-cycle election which took place just in this place. The last election, we had 3 elections on the same day, but this one we just had one state taking place at once. So we were able to deploy every security. Then, like I told you, one-on-one, I had chance to speak with the EFCC boss who was present there. I had the chance to speak with the head of civil defense who was present in the whole state. I didn't speak directly with the head of the police, but the AIG were there. Everybody was there. So it was wonderful for security of the people. This is the least amount of violence we have seen. The security was good for the people, but I must still say that security was not good for the final outcome, because media, accredited media like us, and party agents were not able to get into the final bus stop where the harvest was delivered. That I can never change.
But do you think there was a reason behind all of that? Do you think so? When we talk about fake news and all that, because you mentioned all of that, fake news, do you think there was a reason behind not allowing the media in at the final stage of collation of the results? Do you think there was a strong reason behind it, aside what you said, rigging? But do you think there was a serious reason behind it?
Madam, if you are a media person and from the gate, not even from the premise, from the gate, I think we should have had. You can't just have media come at the announcement of results. There's no transparency in that. You can't have party agents just stand at the final announcement of results. They stayed with us throughout at the polling units before the materials moved. They moved in the buses with every material going to every nook and cranny. They came back with the materials. They stayed with us till night when the materials were now converted into sheets that now went for a final collation, and at that point nobody could follow them further. So whatever conclusion you can draw with that, I've said it already. I think I've said it like 5 times already.
We've heard you, Toba. Thank you so much for being a part of Global Morning and sharing your personal view with us this morning. Thank you for making our time. Thank you. All right, now we're quickly going to go on a very quick break, and of course the next topic of discuss comes in shortly. It's Global Morning. Do not go anywhere. Stay tuned.
Business Point on Global Television.
The business world can be dynamic and unpredictable, with headwinds and volatility sometimes becoming an obstacle for players in the business and economy landscape. Watch Business Point on Global Television as Samuel Oji walks you through the twists, turns and curves in bonds, stocks and crucial market indices from a global standpoint. Watch Business Point weekdays on Global Television at 11 a.m. West African time. Business Point. This is business. Global Morning is your ultimate destination for engaging political and economic matters. I am Uyi Agmofwebe.
And don't forget to include social discussions. Tune in every weekdays from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Queen Agaba.
For insightful breakfast ideas, business summaries, sports highlights, international and local news perspective, I am Anthony Momodu.
Don't miss the in-depth analysis of current and political issues by the Global Morning team and experts. I am Jumai Manson.
Catch Global Morning here on Global Television. Getting on the action. I am Edikan Michael.
We are
the Global Morning team.
Thank you everyone for staying with us. Time to wrap it up on the program. But then just a quick conversation with an APC member, Ahmed Mahmoudou. He joins us live from Houston, Texas this morning to discuss his angle of the election with us. First of all, a bunch of apologies to you, Ahmed, for taking your time this morning. We are scheduled for 9 o'clock actually, but a couple of glitches with our schedule. We appreciate you for your patience.
Thank you. How are you doing? Congratulations to you too, and my good brothers in Edo State.
All right, so let's get right to it. Election is over. Results have been announced. We now know the winner as announced by INEC. For you, as a member of the APC, the party whose candidate has now been declared the winner by the umpire, the Independent National Electoral Commission, what are the highlights?
Well, I'd like to first congratulate the good people of Edo State for their choice of the APC. And I call on our candidate, Senator Monday Okwebolo, and his deputy governor to immediately outline their priorities of governance, because as you well know, governance has literally come to a standstill in Edo State. The song has always been Bini, 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 as if Bini is the whole of Edo State. No, Edo State as a whole needs to be focused on. And they need to be aware that it was a closely fought battle, a competition that was thoroughly contested. Margin is less than 50,000 votes. So they need to understand that the people of Edo are calling on them to immediately get to work, and they should forget about the campaign period is now over. As soon as they are sworn into office, they should realize that they are the governors of all the people of Edo State, regardless of how they voted or what the outcome of the vote is. This is not the time for recriminations. This is a time to pull up their sleeves and show the difference. Tell the people that this vote, this mandate you give us is the right mandate, and we are prepared to work towards your trust.
All right, Ahmed, congratulations once again to all APC members. And I want to ask, now some PDP members are crying out foul when it comes to this particular result of the governorship election that just took place on Saturday. What's your take on that? And because they say at the end, of course, it was free and fair at the beginning, but when it got to the end, collating the results, there were no media personnel there, no persons to witness the results when it was announced, or will I say collated. What is your take on that? Do you think PDP members are not accepting the sportsmanship of losing this particular election?
Well, you hit the nail perfectly on the head. You can't go to sports without having some spirit of sportsmanship. Two people will enter a contest and one person is always going to lose. But having said that, the reality of the matter is that our politics has evolved beyond the point where people can just come and write results and get away with it. No, the courts have shown repeatedly that they are not shy to remove errant members of the political class who go against these laid down rules. So I don't think we have anything to fear in that regard. Where they are shouting foul, all they need to come out to do is go to the courts and present their evidence. And I'm sure the courts will not feel shy to correct any anomalies that they highlight. That's on the one side of it. Secondly, let's give kudos to who kudos is due. The journey between 1999 and today has been a long and remarkable journey. INEC has come a long way in making sure that the sanctity of the electoral process is maintained. And I think we can, by and large, you can see that represented in the elections in Edo State. We had a keenly contested battle where Edo North, Edo South, and Edo Central were equally divided, practically equally divided between all the gladiators. So on the tail end of it, if their party, their returning officers and their agents signed on all of those returning forms, then whatever else they find as an anomaly, they should take to court and highlight. Let everybody look at it, and then the courts will decide if there is a case to be made or not. But in the meantime, PDP has to come out and say unequivocally that we will, until we contest this result, let the interest of the Edo people be paramount, let there be peace, let nobody hit up the polity unnecessarily. It's not worth anybody's life. We have the result, the Edo people have spoken, and let their result let their voice be respected until the court say otherwise.
Have also highlighted could be of very grave concern for them. They say they are afraid that the incoming APC government could also mean, amongst other things, return of thuggery and all of the madness, yes, that we had seen with the ticketing revenue processes in the states. That is quite indicting, because they are quick to make reference to the Adams Oshiomhole era in Edo States, where you had the Akugbe Ventures, for example, led by Tony Kabaka Adun, popularly called Kabaka. So I'm asking all of this to say, how do we address that? How do we deal with that? Because they are afraid that the loyalty of Senator Monday Okpebholo, the governor-elect, the incoming governor, is more tilted towards party leaders, particularly Senator Adams Oshiomhole and Pastor Osage Izeamu. If you had a golden opportunity to clear the doubts of the everyday Edo man, what would be your approach?
So first of all, let us put aside the sentiments of Agberoism and all the rest of that. There is not going to be a return to any of the so-called bad things that happened in Edo past. Let us understand that the political and ethnic moral evolution in Edo State is a continuous one. The people have come out and said they remember a time when things were better than they are now. And they want the people that are responsible for that time to come back and see if they can put things back on track. That is on the one hand. On the second hand, if the government is as responsive as we expect them to be, whenever there is a policy that is unsuitable, the people will speak out, and we expect the government to adjust accordingly and immediately. Not only that, if we assume that the Agberos are going to take over the infrastructural space of Edo, I think that is an insult on the sensibilities of even the APC as a whole. Let's not even talk about saying Comrade Oshiomhole allowed it, which he did not. There was a culture that was gradually being phased out. There was a ticketing system. So to just encompass the whole thing as Agberoism is quite is pedestrian. Government is a continuous process. The people speak, government responds. We expect to see that immediately going forward. And this is not just talking about Agberoism. There are so many other aspects of the government that need to be responsive to the people. We are aware that right now there's no government-sanctioned healthcare. Everything has been privatized. What about that? What about all the open spaces that have been sold out? What about people's properties that have been demolished and people have been rendered homeless? What about all the markets in Edo that none is functioning to capacity because they were burnt and the government did not respond on time? There are so many burning issues. So let us leave the pedestrian Agberoism and who is collecting tickets. The Edo State needs to cool down infrastructurally, politically, governance. There's so much that needs to be done. So let's leave all the pedestrian things and talk about the things that are going to improve the day-to-day lives of the people of Edo State.
This morning, and thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Have an amazing day ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate the time. Thank you.
All right. With that said and done, we have to wrap it up on the program Global Morning. And, well, he has shed a lot of light, and he has made a reference and all of that, comparing, you know, the controversy surrounding APC coming into power in Edo State. But with all of that, well, he's entitled to his own opinion. And, of course, for every opinions of our guests is their own opinion and not Global Television. And with that, we have to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. I am Jumai Manson with my co-host.
I'm Oyi Agumofwebe.
Have an amazing day ahead. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure.
Incidentally, we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they'll take permission from.
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
The struggle with ASU strike.